Greetings, Commanders, and we are live. And our phone is like not silenced as part of being live. So today I thought we'd do something a bit different, which is a session about content creating and do it in the spirit of experimenting a bit with some of the potential upcoming series, which I haven't really made my mind up that I'm gonna fully do, but which there seems to be quite a bit of interest in the community, so worth exploring as a concept. And generally speaking, I create content on two levels. There's the sort of more impromptu sessions like this live stream, which haven't necessarily been fully engineered, scripted. There's no sort of like props or created content. I might kind of like be playing the game while chatting. And then there's instead the higher production value videos, which I create typically using DaVinci Resolve. And as preparation for those videos, I typically write a script and I create props or content in Photoshop and with other tools to support the creation of a video. So in this assumption, like that we're going to be making a series of ships, of AX ships, and I have a review of individual ships. The probably first ship where it would make sense to start with is a Chieftain, as it is the historically most famous ship with regards to what has been used in AX. And consequently, it will be the one that is most recognizable if you want. And but then even then, the meta has shifted quite a bit since the days where a meta chief was like the one and only way to go. Those were days where intercepted combat was really just a one-on-one affair. You didn't really have the Thargoid War. You may not even have anti-Xeno combat zones. Those were more an occasional thing. And as a result, for solo combat or for multi-goid combat, the Chieftain was generally considered the best ship that one could fly. So that is probably a good starting point. So again, what we'll be doing here is, oops, oh, I just deleted my color, but I think I saved it, is play with Photoshop and create a series of layers so that we can use props to communicate better. And I like, for my layers, I like to create strokes on layers that create a kind of a border that makes things stand out in a kind of remarkable way. And here, I wonder if like a very contrasty white looks better. Like this could be a bit of a punch in the eye, but and this 12 is definitely too much. Like something like this is probably the biggest contrasty version to kind of like make the ship stand out. And again, I have like a bunch of other files that I will pull occasionally based on what it is that I'm doing. Like in this case, I want to just pull the text so I don't have to recreate the formatting of this text. But I do want to kind of like put it straight, and I also will be changing the actually this is fine. It's a text that it's inclined, so how do I unincline the text? Let me see. The answer is I have no idea, so I'm gonna do it this way for now, and then I will figure out the rest later. This looks kind of straight enough. Let's see. There we go. And obviously change the size and change the stroke. Yeah, chief. What I want to do with this input prop is use this as a bit of an anchor point where I would, by the way, this is not exactly the kind of coloring I had in mind, but it's fine. Layers, style, stroke, and changes to white. Again, this is way too big. This is probably too small. Something like this. more reasonable. But we're gonna make this smaller, so actually go down should be fine. And then give it kind of like a satin view with an inner glow, and maybe even an inner shadow to kind of like create this kind of like more sort of like textured like effect. And now we have sort of like our meta chieftain, which is just small like gets the definition. And then we create again some kind of like visual props around it to kind of like highlight our concept. So they want to highlight, which is actually multiple variations of the a meta chieftain. Hey, Alt Disc, I am content creating. This is an Inception video about creating content. And this is sort of like my very, very initial days around sort of like experimenting with the concept of like ship-specific videos. Ooh, that was not what I wanted to do. There we go. That's better. Actually, delete the fill so I can just be transparent. And there we go. The concept was that there's actually multiple variations of this ship, which are kind of like more specific. So we make them smaller to kind of communicate that concept. But there's going to be a few that we're going to be talking about. So, ooh, this is like the big version. I copy the small version so they're also all the same size. This is a ship SCG, so it maintains a really good resolution regardless of like, because it's vector graphics, regardless of like how big or small you make it, which is actually very nice. All right, I kind of wanted this is like centered on the image. This kind of is. Oops. There we go. And that's where we kind of like instead started like ideating like what are the different variants of a chieftain. And like for instance, there's the version I fly, which is I can call it the lightweight chief. Lightweight variant. Or variant. Actually, probably also change the style of text so I can write a lines. Probably better. Lightweight variant, and then gotta just add a bullet or two about like what is significant or meaningful about the variant. And in the case of a lightweight variant, it is faster and it is more fragile. Well, it's not necessarily true that it is more fragile. Like less, what is it called? Doesn't make sense to talk about alpha tank. It's really last tank buffer. That's the word I was looking for. Last tank buffer, more repairs. And then we'll probably actually change the size of the stacks because it's like super ugly like this. And move this out of the way as well. Make this like there's a minimum size with to which things are really not readable. I think 18 font is already really difficult to read. I think for anything in a thumbnail you kind of want to say at least 36 or less, 36 or more, and then even then you kind of want to test it to see if it is readable in a kind of thumbnail format. And you also want to check it for like typos, which in this case I clearly have. I'm not sure I spelled wave. I was spelled wave wrong. Like check spelling. Like wave. Thank you, Photoshop. So having spelled that correctly and having demonstrated our English language skill, we can move to the next one. Like I have like getting a bit constrained in terms of space. So I play with that a little bit. So I'm not sure that I like the black background, or at least the fact that this circle has the same kind of like background. Let's see if we gave it a light gray, if it kind of looks better. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do again. That's not what I wanted to do either. So hold on, let's click this circle again and let's color the fill. again with a light gray. Also highlighted that we have some random text in there. We can get rid of. I'm still not super fond of this gray. Like, we'll come up with maybe a lighter version of this gray. Let's see if we can pick what would be a lighter version. A lighter version would be higher, so like a 99, 99, 99, something like this. And this starts being a little bit too bright, again, for my eyes. Let's do something in between, 66, 66, 66. There we go, that's more neutral, at least to my eyes. Again, we're talking about different variants of a chieftain, and like as we mentioned, there's a lightweight variant. Somewhere in the opposite direction, there's like a much heavier, but there's like a no repairs variant. No repairs variant, which is the opposite. It kind of trades most tank back, but for no repairs. It's also kind of slower, but like speed really isn't the main thing here. It's like designed for like AXCZs with ports, like, where you can repair essentially and restock. Like, you cannot actually get limpets at those ports, so bringing a ship that can repair itself doesn't really matter, since you cannot buy limpets, and if you die, you lose your limpets, and then you're stuck without the ability to repair whatsoever. And at that point, you might want to bring more tank buffer. Faster, most agile. All right, because it is actually a minimum thruster mast, and this is designed for advanced solo combat. Well, that's what it is, but it doesn't fit here. Just advanced combat, like, which they mean solo, but as in like reality, it's like not necessarily a ship that has to be fought solo. So here we go. Now, again, I need to kind of like move this a little bit further up and move this a little bit further to the left. Then there's one of my probably most off-meta versions, which is a double flak version. Double flak variant, which is well, obviously defined by the fact that it has 2 flak and 1 medium and 3 small gauss. Lower DPS. Designed for those who really hate swarms. I think that's what it is designed for. With a bit of a smiley, because that's what that ship is about. And then the most other common variant of a ship is the actually the opposite version of this, which is the flakless variant. Flakless variant. You're suggesting giving ships a shadow. Also, it would be cool to change the colors for each variant using a hue saturation 07. Those are really good ideas. Thank you. I love those ideas. Let's try drop shadow then. A style. It should be somewhere. Drop shadow. There you go. I give it usually like an angle of like -135 or something like that. Distance. This is spread. Should be more than 0. Okay. Oh, this is a bit too much. And the angle is also completely the opposite of what I was hoping to do. It's like, let's do 45 instead. And there we go. Like, this looks good. Like, kind of make it a bit more fuzzy, but not too fuzzy, I think. Because like this way it looks way too sharp to kind of be a shadow. I think this is probably more like of an angle. And something like this. Although the opacity like should not be 100, because again it shouldn't completely take over. There you go. I think we can call this with a style, so that we can then copy it. So chieftain, style. Include this. Include layer effects. Okay. How does this look as a shadow? It looks okay. Maybe not fantastic, but decent enough. And now we should be able to... okay, that was a problem with my library, but it's fine. We'll figure that out later. Layer, style. Play with this again. We should be able to load the styles here. Basics, natural fabric. But I think there was a problem in somehow saving my information. So I probably have to do this manually. I'm also have to do it kind of differently for this version because it's smaller, so it was gonna look different. But the angle is correct, right? So like, there we go. This is more like it. This is like a bit prominent, and this is like shadow. It's like probably like too fuzzy compared to the major one. Oh, I actually think the fuzziness should be, it's nicer with this more fuzziness, so I think I'll keep it this way. But I think opacity we can do something like 64%. So I think the angle could be somewhat more like pronounced at like, where would this be better? Like something like this. Like with global lighting at 10 degrees or 15 degrees. That's more like it. 14 degrees. Okay, cool. And we got a bit more fuzziness there, which is nice. Let's get some additional fuzziness here too. Drop shadow. I think it goes, no, that's like, for this, keep it as it is, but it's like the spread that needs to increase. No, what was it again? It needs to increase. It might be this, but with a lower spread. There we go. Yeah. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. Hold Alt and then drag the effect to each layer. I'm getting a Photoshop lesson here. It's amazing. Like, thank you. Like, it's really cool. How do I hold Alt and then drag the effect to each layer? Well, that I don't know because I'm obviously skill issue here. Oh, from here, like, I guess. Oh, I see effects. Yes, there you go. That's the one. So if I kind of drag it like this, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, nailed it. Today I learned. See, like you learn something every day. Sometimes it's about AX, sometimes it's about Photoshop. All right. I think we're getting there. I think I got them all. It might be I've done something wrong. And the shadow. Ah, yes, the main one shouldn't be like that. Now, there's two of them, but somehow got darker as part of this process. Possibly as something that has to do with layer ordering or layer effects. I'm not sure. Oh, this one somehow has double the effects. I probably copied way too many times these effects. Let's see if I can kind of see copy them here. Some kind of adds them too. Like delete these effects. Like global light, clear layer style. There you go. And of this one as well. And then sort of like do it from one of these. copy layer style, paste layer style, and paste layer style. All right, cool. And also this one, paste layer style. Now we have our chieftains that look kind of the same way. And then good suggestion to kind of change the colors with like some kind of hue change. That probably is done with brightness, contrast, hue, saturation adjustment, and give it like a plus 20, 30 hue. And increase this like in progressive ways. So that's plus 30. This we can make plus 60. This we can make plus 90 and so on. There we go. Looking nice. That's a cool suggestion. Thank you. 150. And now we have to start going negative because like obviously it wraps around. This is 180. Cool. Now we have a lot of different color chieftains. Like, and this is something that, this is something where kind of like, this should be centered, but it's gonna look better, I think, if it's not. Especially if we want to kind of type some text down below here. Like, which I would like to do. And I'll left align format. This is obviously our reference build, which is noted for having 2M to S Gauss, plus FLAC, 16 tone, I'll just T rack, and MG alloys, MG armor, or just type mill grade because MG, people will not know what MG means. And 15 ton cargo rack. So maybe like a necessity to gonna drop these a little bit, but again, it's concerning. Like they're gonna there might be a version of this that doesn't have the sub bullets and instead uses just the titles of each section. But for making this not incredibly cluttered, which I'm kind of starting to look already, I may drop sort of the text to kind of 30. And there you go. And again, now we have 4 variants that are kind of like defined, if you want, by some of its key characteristics. Like, and we should edit the text of the flackless line because we didn't actually change this. So this, the flackless variant is typically 2M to S Gauss plus 1M and 1S beams, which won't fit here. TV beams. Faster shield. Faster shield drop. The price of swarm kiting, which is the trade-off involved with the flackless variant. Now, the interesting thing about the meta chieftain and the chieftain variants is that Bitshifting doesn't really lend itself to be a mod shard platform, and it doesn't really lend itself to be a mod plasma platform either. So Bitshifting more often than not flies with Gauss. Um, there's exceptions, and those exceptions generally end up not working well. There's also, and we should find a way to kind of like represent it here, which is to show the pre-built AX shiftons, which are available for ARCs, as we all know. I wonder like where I can find like an image or an icon of a trash bin. SVG trash bin. See if I can like find one out that like it resembles like something where we can obviously drop it in the trash, ideally open lid. There we go, something like this. And let's see if this copies properly. Obviously it doesn't. Let's see if we can save it and then copy it properly. I think we kind of sort of managed. Where did it go? What did the even save as? Save as open trash can. So it'll be in there. Oh, there you go. Now we have this open trash can. We should recolor this thing because otherwise black on black is going to be hard to see. But it should be easy for vector graphics. Okay. It's probably a smarter way to do this. I might rasterize it because I'm lazy, but there is, I'm sure, a better way to do this than what I just did. So do as I say, not as I do, because like you shouldn't need to rasterize this image to kind of color it vector, but it's fine. And this is the, actually I'm gonna move this up so it's above the trash can. Oh, it's gonna look like weird. I also probably need to kind of make this opacity of this layer less than 60%, but greater than, for like this is, it's not something where it's kind of obvious that this is a trash can, right? Like maybe we can kind of show it with like an like with a sort of arrow that kind of points in this direction to say this should go in a trash can, but it would probably looks cluttered and the like, so probably not do it that way. Now I'm kind of starting to worry about clutter for real because again, there's only so much information that you can convey in a single image, like without going overboard. Like this is the, what is it called? X starter shift10 solve for args other trash. And this is the message that we wanted to give. But again, it's kind of hard to do with the, that was not what I wanted to do. I kind of like somehow copy it. And there we go, should go here. But somehow it's copying the effects on something else. Let's try again. Copy. Where is it again? Convert the frame, copy, let's try, let's convert. Copy layer style, there you go. Paste layer style. Didn't pick up the color, but it's fine. I can pick up the color like from here. That's not the color, but we have it in the color picker, I think, somewhere. or we can just pick a color from the recent ones, or from this one here, which should be clean. There we go. That should do it. But we should apply to all, not just to this one. All right. But now we need to sort of start kind of like getting a little bit sort of in the spirit of changing it up, because this is, again, way too cluttered, right? And it's not going to work particularly well if we're going to do it this way. I'm glad you like it, General Agony. I think it's, I mean, I think the Clipper is a perfect ship for scavenging. It's, it works incredibly well. By the way, let me confirm the Elite Starter Chieftain arcs and see if it's like what's officially pre-built. AX Chieftain. Engineering Alliance Chieftain. Pre-built shift. Alliance Chieftain AX Combat Jumpstart. Chieftain AX Combat Jumpstart. That's what it's called. Like, so let's use Vera language so that people know this is exactly what we're talking about. And again, like, I'm gonna see if there's like a way to do bullet points so it doesn't look this kind of like garbage dash thing that I'm doing, but this is again one of the PowerPoint skills that I lack. It does, yeah, the Clipper totally flies like a medium, right? It's actually quite funny. It I mean, there are some ships that just are out of their size class, and the Clipper is one of those. So I kind of like thinking, like, how do we kind of like visually make this in a way that like, also probably the trash can icon probably belongs better to a corner variant than the sort of main circle, which would kind of like instead lend itself better to like, see if we can actually bring this to the front. Or at least in front of a bin. There it is. Again, here opacity is probably like 80%. Let's see if we can actually show it like, oof, like, so it actually kind of looks a proper size inside a trash bin. Now that's better. Now it's kind of like we've gotten rid of some of the clutter, but still not thing. This graphic agony is something that I'm sort of playing and toying with the idea of making like videos that review each of the different ships. And obviously, if you talk different ships, one of the first ships that people want to talk about is the Alliance Chieftain, because it is by far the most popular. And so here we are talking about different variants of Chieftains. Now, reality is I can probably gain some space by kind of like reducing the size of a circle. Here we go. And moving down here and moving some of the text here. And this actually looks pretty decent, especially like since it will allow me to move some of the text over here. And there we go. And then let's see if we actually explore all the different variants. So there's a lightweight variant, which is the one I actually use. There's the flakless variant, which is with beams only, which is pretty popular. There's the Jumpstart, AX Combat Jumpstart, which is out of trash, and we just put it in the trash bin. Here, this one I think could be an exception to the white stroke, by the way. since the white stroke in the white trash bin doesn't look good at all. I think we should also make the trash bin gray, because that's usually the color of a trash bin. And if we do that, what color should we make this one? Red, a stroke. I think so. There's something wrong, because I think it's a double stroke here, so we gotta get rid of one of the two strokes here. Don't ask me why there's two strokes to it. Oh, this one. How did he even get to have two strokes? A mystery. But anyway, this one can go in a trash bin, which, as we said, we wanted to make gray, so let's make that one gray. But this is probably a bit too gray for it to kind of like register visually as gray. So again, let's brighten up a bit. There we go. That's a nice trash can. And that's a nice AX chieftain in the trash can. We probably also need to play with a drop shadow effect of this one, because the drop shadow effect is not working well. It's also, we got two of them, which is part of the problem, but like, I don't think that is the main problem. The main problem is the distance is too far. And it just doesn't, it won't like work well. We kind of like need to reduce it a little bit. There we go. So it doesn't, I can still kind of move it a little bit to the left, but that's about as much, I think, as we're going to get in terms of shadow. There we go. So this is our Chieftain AX Combat Jumpstart, which doesn't even belong in the circle, and we said put it in the trash bin. Hey Scalinx, good to see you. Thank you. Much appreciated. So we're talking about a no repair variant, so we can have this one here. We talked about the double flag variant, so we have this one here. Let's see if we can get rid of the dashes for this one, because they kind of look ugly in this middle point. And have the whole thing centered instead. It might look better. Yep, there we go. And let's see, we have a no repairs, we have a double flag variant here. I want to kind of align it up to both versions here. Although this one should gonna be lower and further down to kind of match up, but or like again further up here and here to kind of match up. There we go. Oops, not the circle. There we go. So we have a light width variant, we have the flagless variant, we have the double flag variant, we have the no repairs variant, and then I think about there's like a version. I actually think that's mostly it as far as the variants of a meta chief that most commonly come to my mind, because we don't really have variants of a chieftain with shards. We don't really have them with NPCs. We don't really have them even with modified anti-guardian field resistant weapons. The one alternative that I can think of is a version with multi-cannons, like, which has been used selectively for certain things, but it's kind of a very beginnerish version of the chieftain that's like also really not that ideal, and I don't know if I want to necessarily put on a page where we talk about reference builds, Because like even if we did that, what would the build have? It would have two large scrambled multi-cannons, either of the enhanced or the azimuth ones. And then wouldn't really have like, might have like cyto scramblers in the small ones, in two of the small ones, and then maintain a small thermal vent beam for cooling and flak. But that's such an oddball of a build that like I'm kind of almost theory crafting on the spot. So there's a drop shadow missing on the bottom left ship. Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So what happened to a drop shadow on this one? All right. Let's copy layer style and paste layer style. Thank you. Fixed. Appreciate it, Mano. Use it for, it moves better than a crate. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of limited. I'm trying to think like, again, there's other variants of a chieftain that would kind of make sense, but I'm really struggling. I think this might really be it. We might really have just these 4 different variants. Again, I'm trying to picture in my head a version with multi-cannons, but I can't really picture it because the crate and the Python Mark II would just outclass it in so many ways that it'd be incredibly difficult to recommend a chieftain version with multi-cannons. In terms of like other weapons from a configuration standpoint, see, Gauss cannons are really the king of small weapon hardpoints because every other weapon in small hardpoint configuration kind of sucks, right? Enhanced multi-cannons don't even exist in small, and the advanced ones exist, but they don't do a lot of damage, and to do AX damage, they need synthesis, so that doesn't work either. Hey, Daniel. So, does it even make sense to kind of have a version of multi-cannons? Is there a different version for anti-Xeno combat zones? Well, not really, because the no repair variance is the one that we have here. Actually, great for designed for, well, let's actually write this here, designed for port less. So I have to write port less, if that's a statement, port less XCZs. Also capable, and for solo combat, right? And for advanced solo combat. This is really the Flaxus variant. And this is again really more intended for advanced solo combat than anything else. The idea of flak is generally useless and Xeno combat zone. I'm trying to think about whether there's a Maelstrom variant of the Chieftain. Like, what would I bring to the Maelstrom? Now in this era of anti-guardian resistance engineering, I honestly would bring a Gauss Chief. I would bring a Guardian Gauss Chief to a Maelstrom. I would have a hard time bringing anything else. Like, again, the only thing I can think of is for scout duty, like, I'm trying to think if there's even a role at spire sides. Why would you bring a chieftain at spire sides? I mean, you could bring a chieftain with 2 Sears missile racks, 2 cider scramblers, and 2 beam lasers. There's just so many better options. Like, yeah, in Agony, if you start talking outside of AX, I completely agree with you. There's builds with pacifiers or frag cannons that work decently. But, I mean, what I'm trying to do is just strictly focus on AX combat and combat design. Otherwise, we kind of go way out of way on a tangent, right? So I would rather not go there. Then the question is, fine. Let's just say these are the ones, right? Then also kind of give them a bit more color variation. I may change the hue of this one to be something more reddish. Adjustments, hue. Let's see what brings us to red. That's pink. Pink, red. There we go. Like crimson, pinkish. Why not? Well, Gaussian a maelstrom is viable with high heat load. Well, the short answer is yes, because if you stagger fire, like you stagger fire in normal combat, the chief doesn't really spike. So you're under sink coverage, heat sink coverage, without really spiking on a single trigger pull. So, I mean, the short answer is yes. You may need to kind of make some adjustments to sort of like, this probably is like, you're onto something here, because there are some adjustments that you kind of need to make it work in the maelstrom. And now I'm kind of curious to see if I can actually do that, because it's not necessarily straightforward that we would be able to. So let me actually do it with you guys. So first, let me pull up Inara and export my current chieftain, and then we can play with it together in a moment in Etsy. First, I need to find it in my humongous hanger. I found it. Export to Etsy, and we pull this out, and then we bring the screen up if we manage to figure out which window it is. I think we got it. Might not be centered, but here we go. So this is an export of my chieftain straight from Inara, which means there's some things that need to be adjusted because the export doesn't recognize some minor configuration things like power priorities of the cargo hatch and stuff like that. Also, don't ask me why I'm having an Exensino scanner, but I do. But let's say for sake of argument that we're taking like a chieftain to a maelstrom. Yeah, Cobra the Maelstrom. I don't know if they're expecting a Cobra the Maelstrom, but like, maybe it's the achievement aspect of it. Maybe we should actually recreate our own image of a Cobra in front of a Titan. That'd be fun. Like that's something for another stream to kind of recreate the logo image and do the sort of real life version of the logo image that we're getting as rewards. It'd actually be quite a bit of fun. So as you can see, I have a double flak lightwave chief, which is kind of a hybrid of the two, but the two concepts kind of overlap. So let's reconfigure it to be sort of like more of a typical meta chief, which has flak here. But we don't need flak. We definitely don't need flak. So this should be definitely a flakless build. So if we make this a flakless build, probably have a beam laser here. Like, that would be long range from OVM by default. And then we would have another small Gauss cannon here, and we would have, oh, here to be, actually, okay, can never remember where the medium beam is, and so one of these two. But I would go another fixed beam. Like, if you use a single beam, I tend to go gimbaled because it cools you better. And if you have a single one, it actually makes a bit of a difference. If you use both a medium and small, I tend to go fixed because you have more than enough cooling, and the fixed beam I just personally prefer and like better. If I'm not using gimbal weapons, like if I'm using gimbal multi-cannons, then yes, I will also use gimbal beams. But if I'm using fixed weapons like Gauss, I will go with fixed beams as a general rule. Cobra Mark 5. Man, I don't even have a Cobra Mark 4, and you're already kind of like saying you want the Cobra Mark 5. Like, hope they find a way to give us the Cobra Mark 4, so I sincerely doubt it. But back to the ship design. So, heavy duty deep plating. This has this is again the lightweight variant we actually has the 6E cargo rack, which we now have, which is a good thing. Long range sensors is fine. It's got 100% it. Sensors. We have an SEO. I'll put the proper experimental, which I didn't bother because it's always annoying to have to do a trip. And then this is all good and fine. This is all good and fine. A 5D repair limpet controller with like limpets for the ages. We have AFMU, like, and we have these which are unpowered compared to MetaChief, which is great because otherwise we'd have to engineer, which is again annoying. Now let's look at where we are power-wise. So we're at 91% on an armored thermal spread plant. So let's drop to low emissions thermal spread, and we're going up to 120, which is obviously like crazy high. If we turn off the strictly unnecessary things, which my builds usually run off, we go down to 106. Yes, we should add the anti-guardian field, but it's not in Inara yet, so I can't add it. I could add the mod Gauss version, which sucks, so we're not going to do that. But if we're going to fight in Titan space, then yes, we would need to do that. And then we obviously need a far grid pulse neutralizer, otherwise we're not going to be fighting in Titan space at all. The question is, do we need an enhanced Xeno scanner? The answer is probably not. The answer is probably not. I mean, we have Gauss. We don't need a scanner. Why would we need a scanner? We don't need a scanner. Plus, we need the utility for a caustic sink. So let's put a caustic sink here. Actually, swap the order because I think it looks better. No particular other reason. And then, very importantly, put the ammo capacity on the caustic sink launcher. The problem with this, it makes our power, it keeps our power issues roughly at the same level. Now, the thing about this build is that it's not really a Titan bomber, right? Because we're not using a torpedo. We're using a double beam laser. But do we even want to make this operate like as a bomber while having Gauss cannons on top? Like, would using 2 shards and Guardian Gauss on top be better? I don't know. I think if we do it this way, then we probably put torpedo here. And I would then switch to a gimbal laser because we need that for cooling. And thermal vent here. But if we do that, I mean, Gauss as a bomber really works poorly. I mean, it's just terrible. Like, it's a waste of ammo. Like, if we do that, we kind of have to go to Guardian Shards. But if we go with Guardian Shards, like, and having a combination of shards and Gauss, because of small Gauss, like with little ammo, the problem is I don't know that there's anything particularly better to put in your small slots. Like, at least these can sort of deal with scouts, but I don't know if there's a better option in terms of like what to deal with scouts. And they do like having Cytos doesn't really make that much sense, because having Cytos would like be useful for shields, but unless you're going after orifices or the like, I don't think those would be particularly useful. And and the material grind to kind of be able to engineer these is like significant, and these Gauss cannons don't really do much for you. But I actually don't know what would you use that is actually useful in any shape or form, other than putting like 3 beam lasers on here. But I don't know how much more useful that would be. I mean, going Gauss again, at least these small Gauss cannons would allow you to kind of hit scouts, a few of them, until ammo lasts, which is not very long. So I kind of wonder, like, how about we put some plasma slug rails on here? Is that too crazy of an idea? It probably is. Well, let's play with it for a moment. Railguns. Long range plasma slug. Yeah, it does sound like a solution that I trying to kind of like. But the question is like, if I really, really, really want to take a shift into a maelstrom, what would I take? Um, and that's what I'm trying to think through. Like, and the answer is maybe really nothing, but without actually thinking through the question, um, it's kind of tricky to make the most of. Now, how much fuel do we have? We only have 16 tons, so we probably need some additional fuel if we kind of go this route, which is not ideal. Although, also take forever to delete scouts. So these two rails, I mean, as much as I like Seismosag rails, these are just a bad idea. Like these deserve to be deleted. But again, I don't necessarily know what else would we put on here that would be in any shape or form useful. I think the only thing I can realistically think of is to put the class 1 of the old shards and make it like a shard bomber with these 4 shards. The good thing about doing this, it really massively drops your power requirements. So you can power everything actually while going low emissions thermal spread. And this could actually work. I mean, it's not gonna be anywhere close to as good as being a crate or a forget forget a Pilot Mark II or any of the good ships. I mean, FDL, Mamba, they're all gonna beat this. But this could actually work. This could actually work. And then we have 2 heat sinks, but do we need 2 heat sinks or should we go with 2 caustic sinks at this point? Like, because we have a beam laser, I actually don't need a second heat sink. So I'm actually gonna trade this heat sink for a second sink launcher since we have the power anymore. And look at this, look at the beauty of this. 99.9% power capacity. Talk about being optimized. Like, so AXMRs, Cirrus AXMRs do more damage per dive, whereas shard cannons do more damage per cycle. But they have a lot less ammo. So in terms of the amount of damage that you would do in a single thermal core exertion, you do more damage with the shards. But if you're gonna stay for a little longer, you would be doing more damage with the missile racks than with the shards. And by the way, both are annoying from an engineering standpoint, right? Because I mean, the Cirrus missile racks require, I don't remember, but they require some kind of G5 material that's impossible to find and takes forever to gather. At least that was my recollection of it. Versus the, and I'm having a Coke here, by the way. Versus the shard cannons require, like the anti-guardian theoengineering, which is also an absolute pain in the neck. But I'm gonna save this somewhere. I'll call it something like Titan Bomber Chieftain, which I can then save to like Titan Bomber Chieftain for future reference. All right. So let's go back and discuss how we represent this, which should be poorly, I think. So now going back to what we have here, I think what we represent it as is in a similar way as like the I need some more space here. It's kind of sucks. Just have 2x, like easier. And just bring this up here. This one looks better. And then have another version of this, which is, oh, there we go. And this one is like in the upper corner. And again, this will change a little bit the hue and stuff. That way, this is how you just try. Oh, there we go. Trying to line it up. So, okay, there we go. Now we can play with hue and stuff here for a moment. Make it some weird color. Purple. Let's do purple. There we go. And also change the stroke color. Or just keep it red, just like saying this in the trash can. And this we call Titan Bomber Chieftain. Or something like that. Titan Bomber Chieftain. And this is like reflects the things that we're talking about, which is cold running AAGF shards, like highly suboptimal, right? It's like what we call it. Which is like if you really want to use it, like, you know, hey Alex, if you really want to use it, it's there, but again, we don't recommend it. It's hence it being in a trash bin, right? And where it leaves it at, where this leaves us at, is a little bit of like of a version, which probably I would flip the order of these two, because then I can do something which I think is, how do I do that? Like flip the order. Is that a transform? No, flip horizontal. Oh well, I did flip them, but not in the sense I had in mind. All right, let's do it the old school manual way. And then we can basically have a range that says more flak, less flak, more tank, less tank, right? Which is I'm trying to think about, like the flakless variant has less, like the no repairs variant can be, and it generally is also flakless. Which is a kind of step further on the design. So again, I would invert the order of these two. So no repairs variant is like the heavy version of a flakless variant, which instead is generally designed a little bit for more speed rather than tank. But then the no repairs version is like sort of like more no flak. Right. This is like the same as the above. Right. Something like this. And here we go. Light width and flakless also goes hand in hand at least. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to say there's a bit of a range, right? From the super lightweight double flag variant, which is kind of the pink version, which I use at the left hand most side of the screen. to a version that's still lightweight but uses still a single flag, to a version that again might still be lightweight but has now gone flagless, which is kind of the yellow one at the top right, to a version that goes green, which is instead heavier, and is based on a presumption that you don't have repairs, that you have local repairs available. And you either cannot or should not bring repair limpets because it doesn't make sense in that particular setting with a chieftain. I think this is broadly it. I'm trying to see if there's like a way to say like a way to say flak, no flak, or like, again, see what we can do here. Change the stroke to be this. This looks pretty centered, although I want to send this to back. Rasterize, flat, no, go all the way down. Well, something wrong with the kind of like layout, because this looks like a different color almost than what we had here. Pick up this color. Now they ought to be the same. All right, this looks better. Let's see, like we can actually color this like this. Looks pretty centered. I'm not sure if it was. Okay, let's kind of push it to the right, and then move it to something that looks like something centered. Which, by the way, this is, I think, the screen center, which means my circle is not centered. My circle is now centered. Sort of. Now it is. Cool. So now the circle is centered. Now we can write the flak, no flak here. Flak. And give it a little bit of a twirl. Not that much. See if it actually works like this. Oops, too big. Oh, I know I did it the opposite direction. I'll fix that in a sec. Black less. And this, by the way, gives me the opportunity to use a term I absolutely love, which is flakful. Flakful. Flakful ship. I love flakful. And this is flakless. Not flakful, sorry. I just said I love the term. I haven't used it. Flakful. There we go. But too many L's. Flakful is with one L or one? I think flakful. Flakful, one L, right? Or should we spell flakful with two L's? Question of the day. It's like flakful spelled with one or two L's? Very important question. A kind of existential question. It's one L, lol. Okay, cool. Flakful with one L. Deal. And this is a little bit too bent. That's more like it. Oops. There we go. Same for this one. I think this one is a bit too bent too. Something like this. It's turning around. Oops. Okay. It's easy to grab the wrong thing. All right, let's again lift it up a bit. All right. Flak 4 and flak less. This is like good. All right, so we have that. Now, I wonder if like our trash cans would also look better with a stroke or not. Layer style, stroke. If we do a stroke, it's kind of like a tiny one though, not a big one. And I wonder if we're gonna do it as like a, should be a white stroke or, I'm not sure if it looks better. I'm like seeing it on both sides. I think it might look better without a stroke. So let's cancel this and keep it without a stroke. And then again, we have chieftain everywhere, so I don't think we need to write it again. But again, these are variants of a chieftain that just suck. So all of this one is like fine. We can get rid of chieftain there because it's obvious like it's the X comma sold for arcs. The Titan Bomber chieftain we kind of like need to specify because the Titan Bomber is a term used for many other ships. So, well, primarily the crate, the Python, and the Mamba. So I think we can kind of clarify it's more of a role than a name of a ship. So. I mean, if you're using quotes, you always should use quotes here for consistency. And this one is the entire quote thing, quote. I also don't think we need to write variant everywhere as like it's pretty obvious that all these are variants. Do that, we got a little more space. Let's see if we can actually get some relief here, but I really don't know how to do it, so we're not gonna do it just due to my skill issue with Photoshop. I also gotta move the background. There we go. And now I think we need to find a good background for it. And I think I have just a background for it, actually. And we'll see how we can play with it. I was trying to sign out like specific idea in mind. Pull it out of one of my folders. We're doing chieftains, so obviously we want an image of a chieftain. Obviously, nothing is obvious in life, but I think we want an image of a chieftain. So what is a good image of a chieftain? I have one under, where is it? It was on screenshots. This is a good image of a chieftain, but I think the one where a chief is boosting and firing is a better one. So let me fish it out and see if I have it somewhere. Under assets. Unengineered or whatever it was. I think I also just used it. So I'm thinking, like, where was it? I think I might have it. Let me look again here. Not here. I might give up at some point and just pull in this other image with chieftain. Like this is the other one, just to give you a sense of the other option I had in mind. Like this is a chieftain firing at I think it's a cyclops actually. Which is not bad, but I think I have a better one. I'll give it another moment or so, see if I can find it. It's not in the website images. It's not in infographics. It's gotta be somewhere on here. Especially since, as I mentioned, I kind of used it just a moment ago. AGF engineering. Not here. Let's see. Not in logos. Like, not exciting part of the stream, I apologize, but I did want to find that image of a chieftain, and I swear to God, I can't remember where I put it. Not in ranks, not in, must be under somewhere here. Right. I think I had it, and actually I'm gonna switch, I'm gonna kind of switch into something weird. I'm gonna go sideways for a moment because I think I have it loaded here, and I kind of just need to find out where it is. And oh, look weird for a moment, but I'll be right back. Yeah, this is a background image that I'm trying to fish out, and I'm trying to figure out. It's under screenshots. All right, there it is. Let's go back here. Now I know where to find it. Screenshots. It had a very weird name, which is why I couldn't find it. There it is, found. And there it is. This is our nice, crazy image. I'm gonna delete the other one for a moment. Although, actually, I might keep it because I want to see how it looks like. So what I'm trying to do is like move both all the way down and just have the other things kind of pop up. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of like create a layer where something like this was happening, but kind of a little bit like the opposite, where it was like a opacity layer which let the center of the image shine through. Like again, this doesn't look like a chieftain, like, and just makes the image impossible to kind of visualize. But if we kind of show at the center, that could look good. The question is, how do we do that? And I think there's a way to do that. And let's see if I can fill with an image here. Can I fill an image? I can fill a pattern, but let's see if I fill an image. I don't think I can fill an image here. It's trying to kind of like figuring out how to do this. So there's probably some kind of blending mode with like blend below visible, fill 100%. So this is kind of what I want to do. Like, I want to show like just the image, possibly also with like some kind of like background like this, which kind of cuts through. And then have like a black cover for the rest of the image, which we probably do like by just cutting it, like doing an elliptic marquee to like I can center it here in 0 and 0. Right, it's all right, not maybe oops, that's not what I want to do. Like circular, and I don't know if this was like maybe I just do it from here. Like again, that's not what I wanted to do. Like select like that. I almost got it. Wish you could just move a selection thing. I think I can move a selection thing like just like this. But the thing is, I'm actually selecting the wrong thing, by the way, because I actually need to select this layer here. Was again, it wouldn't really work. Like this is roughly the selection piece. This is kind of like moving the whole thing. Deselect. Actually, see if I can actually try again one more time. This looks, I think, roughly right. But again, not quite right. So I'm gonna try this as 1400 and 100. Okay. I got it precisely. Almost precise. To a point where the rest we can't kind of like play with. All right. So now we selected this thing. Should be able to cut it. Edit. It doesn't let me cut it. I don't know why. Copy. I should be able to delete it. Not directly editable. Huh? Paste it. All right, now we pasted it. So something happened, and then we should be able to delete this thing here, and delete this thing here. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. There we go. We need to kind of like clean up some of the things here, but this is easy. This is very easy to clean up. Sort of. But again, I have to select the right layer. There we go. Yeah, same thing here. Now this looks nice. In fact, if we do this, the question is, do we even need the icon of the chieftain in the middle? Because like this kind of looks pretty badass, like without the icon even. In fact, the icon I think doesn't really add very much, and just adds confusion to kind of like the where's the delete layer button? There we go. Oops, I deleted the wrong layer. Try again. Select the right one. This is the right one. Yeah. Delete it. All right. This is more like it. Hey, Lex. Different variants showing up the lock. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think this kind of looks decent enough in my view. Like, especially if I kind of also reduce the grayness of this thing, which I had originally, because I was like, I wanted to kind of create some kind of layer effect, but I don't really need to do it anymore, right? I can also play with the sort of like adjustments of like brightness, contrast. This is way too high in terms of like the highlights in particular. And for some reason, the brightness and contrast effect are doing absolutely nothing on this layer. I have no idea why. Try again, adjustments. Actually try maybe playing with the levels or the curves. Bring it down. Nope, does absolutely nothing. I don't know why the adjustment level is like doing nothing on this one. Text integral in it. Might be a like also the kind of thing that kind of lends itself to some kind of effect. Like sharpen style as the pixelate. Pointerlize. What does pointerlizing this thing do? Oh, I know that's not. I had a selection there. That's why everything was screwed up. All right. select, deselect. Now things should work. Now I can select the whole layer here. And by the way, I probably need to chop some stuff out of here as well. So make sure we select that while I do it. So I need to do it once. Where is my lasso? Here's the lasso. There we go. No, this is too much. This is not enough. I will do it again. Oops. I'm not lassoing very well today. There we go. I think that does it. Yeah, cool. And then again, deselect and then select this whole thing and then play with brightness and contrast, which we definitely need to lower on the brightness side and probably increase on the contrast side to kind of get something that looks more appropriate. The reality is, I don't know why I'll lower the brightness this much. I think I really want to do is I want to play with curves and reduce the highlights more than anything, and add a point up here and add a point down here so that we get actually less contrast, but we keep and retain some detail, kind of like lower darkness areas. That is worse than before. So, well, it's not actually worse than before. This is fine. All right, so this, I think this looks okay. I can make this closer to a trash can so it's clear these are trash can comments. Maybe let's make this kind of like right align. Well, it might look terrible. Like, let's see. Something like this. Yeah. If we do this, I think we got some space to also drop this a little bit. I don't know when you do this, it kind of like, that way, does not drop the last thing you select. But it's the ways of Photoshop. But now, I think we are getting there. I think that's it. Lex is asking if it is possible to salvage in the destroyed Titan areas with a non-combat ship. The answer is absolutely yes. Highly recommend a ship that runs cold, because that means that escorts will ignore you. So yeah, go salvage. Just bring a cold ship. Hey Sawdust. Mirror of the left trash can for symmetry. Ah, so many good suggestions. I love like the consulting here. Edit, transform, and mirror. Flip horizontal. There you go. If I do that, I kind of need to kind of move it a little bit. There we go. Actually, a little bit more. There we go. Cool. That looks good. Am I satisfied with this? A manage chieftain, and then a kind of like variance, lightweight, double flak, flakful, more flakful, and then flakless. That's sort of again variance. There's a kind of dot there. I don't know why. Why is there break dot like? I'm trying to figure out what is this thing. Is this, no, it's not a stroke of that one, and it's not a stroke of this one. So it's that other mystery as to why there's a black line in between the two. It doesn't make any sense. Even if you extend it, there's still, so this is like a layer stroke of some kind, but it's, oh, I know what's happening here. This is another game of this little exercise here, but I kind of need to lasso away. There we go. Oh, too much. There we go. Solved. All right. And this now looks good. Hey, Refillion. Good to see you. So what I want to do now is I want to save two versions of this. First of all, is black the right color for the non? Like black, I mean, black has its uses, but black is also kind of very harsh. And gray is easier on the eyes. Gray, not this weird teal. All right. And I wonder if just going gray makes it easier on the eyes. This might be kind of like too neutral and kind of not very spacey. I wonder if we should use like a spacey background for the other, but then again, it's probably like too much and overdoing it. Like, let's run with this. And so now saving this, I'm gonna save this in two versions, which like probably has to do like with a kind of new video, like to be created. 08 XX 2024 AX like ship reviews 1 Alliance Chieftain. And say this as chief variants .psd and move to a proper folder at some point when I'm done. Yeah, I mean, I think the black. I mean, black for a space game is not a bad combination, but like, I mean, there's something about kind of the legibility of a text as well that I'm not super convinced that like we necessarily nailed here, but I mean, white on black text obviously is the highest contrast, highest legibility color combination, but it's also not particularly pretty or attractive. The XSF blue might be better, but I would probably need to kind of split the layer style to make it work that way. Like the readability of this goes down if I just do that. If I get rid of the others, this is still pretty readable, but it's kind of looks less sophisticated, so it's kind of a bit of a trade-off. Like it's a 10, like without the stroke. I don't know. This is like text readability is always kind of a tricky thing. They play these Nebo in the background. Oh, that's a good idea. Like, if I do that, then I definitely want to keep a stroke, because otherwise it's kind of like going to be like hard to read. Nebula. Let's see if we have a high resolution image. A Pleiades. This is not a high resolution image. All right, this is a high resolution image. Wow, it's a pretty one too. Pleiades large. Let's see how this looks with that image. Obviously, it kind of needs to go way down. The annoying thing about having an auto hide taskbar is that it constantly gets in the way of this layer thing. Actually, I want to move it out here so it stopped doing that. There we go. Well, well, well. What would you say? Well, this looks actually pretty nice. Like, if we do this, we kind of need to make a few adjustments, though. Like, we kind of need to make this text a different color. Oh, it's unreadable on that background. This is flag full, this is flagless. Or also give it a stroke. Maybe just keep it this way with white coloring. And I think the white, the white stroke at this point kind of like comes into question and see whether this should kind of be instead black stroke. Let's see how this looks with a black stroke. But if we use a black stroke, we kind of need to make it bigger. Like a 6 point, or that's too much. I think. Oh, that's definitely too much. But 10 is fine, I think. And it looks better. Let's do that. Let's do like 10-point strokes. This one. All right, copy style. Copy layer style. And then select all this stuff here. And paste layer style. Yeah, this is good. And then I think we can change like the sort of stroke of the chieftains as well. Yeah, style stroke. Although I don't know if black is also going to be the best here option. Disable the other one. Yeah, I think this is going to be the better one. Yeah, it definitely looks a lot better. Copy the style again, and then click on these three and paste the style. And then finally, I forgot this one here, but this one also should copy the style. And paste the style. Flag full, flagless. See if we can just copy and paste the style and see what happens. Yeah, that's better. Looks better. Although, honestly, this is probably the stroke that this has is too much. Style stroke. This text is too small for a 10-point stroke. I think we give it a 6-point stroke. There we go. Copy style again. And paste the style. Cool. I think you said give it a bit of a blur to the background image of a Pleiades, I presume you're talking about. Which makes a ton of sense. Blur. Gaussian blur. Gaussian 6 pixels is too much. Give it 4 pixels. Or maybe even 2 pixels of blur. 3 pixels of blur. 3 pixels of blur. There we go. 3 pixels of blur. 3 pixels of Gaussian blur. This is it. I think we got it. Black color overlay with 80% opacity will help tone down the brightness issue. Distortion, I think that would be kind of tricky. Like, I don't know, that like doing opacity on this one would kind of like, you know, opacity at 80% of this one kind of looks weird. And blur and stroke fix the brightness. Oh, okay, so good. I think this is it. The only thing that really looks ugly is the trash cans, which, I mean, they're trash cans, so they're not really meant to look great, but I think we want to give them at least some kind of texture. And I wonder if there's an easy way to do that, probably with some kind of filter, like probably create some kind of noise. Yeah, noise. Like either a uniform noise or Gaussian noise. Gaussian noise is like monochromatic. There we go. But that looks weird. Like just give it some noise like this on 6.3 and do the same on the side. Filter noise. All right, we got some noise. A red circle with crossed out looks. Yeah, but it doesn't have the same fun should be in a trash can thing. But I do think it kind of does look better, so maybe we should try that. Let's try that. I actually just had that. I had just had one of those done for a different video where I was basically saying, what was I crossing out? I was crossing out the anti-Gaussian field effect. Yeah, it was the AGF effect. So where did I put the appearance here? So stroke, red, fill, none. And then we'll see if we like probably make it a bit bigger. I'll center it later. So I'm just figuring out like where it kind of goes. Probably need a bit more of a stroke if we do it this way. So right now it's 10. Let's see what it looks like with 15. Still not very much. Let's give it 20. Yeah, that's more like it. And then I think we need to make it a little bit bigger so the shadow kind of fits in there. And then a nice 45-degree line. There we go. With the same 20-point stroke that we will center. Now they're kind of somehow locked together, which is annoying. Let's do it like this. There we go. Line 2. All right, this looks better. This looks better. I think it looks better in the trash can. I don't know whose idea it was, but it's a good idea. It looks better in a trash can. We will add some noise to these combination of things. Like, oops, that was not what I wanted to do. This is something I wanted to do. Move this whole thing out. By selecting way too many things. So hold on. This plus this. Oops, too many. Again, this plus this plus this. There we go. I'll move it something like here. And then again, I do want to give this thing, I'm going to group it and see if I can get it some texture in terms of like in form of noise. With a filter, convert for smart filter. Smart object, all right, cool, convert it. filter noise, add noise. This isn't really noising anything. Oh, now it's doing it. No, that's too much though. Like something like this. If it looks like Gaussian or like, actually don't like the Gaussian one. It's actually too many colors. Like uniform noise, I think actually looks better. There we go. This is much better. Cool. And then we can just copy and paste and put it on top of this chieftain here, ideally in a way that lines up to the other side, which is like, where is it? No, there. Oh, I had it. There. Delete this weird trash can thing. Make sure this kind of lines up to the other side. Move this up a bit. Actually, this is fine on the middle, lines up in the middle. Much better. Much better. I think this is it. I think this is it. Maybe just move this a little, get some space. So now what I wanted to do was, first of all, save this. And then when I want to save another version of this, which instead is the one that's really meant to be shift variants, headlines only, where basically we have just what this is, what these are for. So kind of like, and call it like simple, right? Like this. By the way, I probably should add a space here. Advanced solo combat. This is flat glass. This is like, in fact, I honestly think this is just gonna look better without all the garbage text, like even as a general kind of like thing. So I can kind of like explain verbally, like double flag designed to punish swarms. There we go. You never want to write everything you need to say on a presentation, otherwise, why you're there. I completely agree with the point. Yep. I wholeheartedly agree. Let's see if we can actually make it look better as well. Make sure you add some kind of like space between text, which kind of make it look decent. There we go. this one here. Looking at the alignment of these things, yes, I can use carriage return. And this could use carriage return. If we now we don't have the trash cans, I wonder if we can bring them back back to the circle while still looking kind of semi decent. What do you guys think? It would look cleaner, I think. This would go on this side because it's a flak full build. I think it's flak full. Does it AX Combat Jumpstart have flak even? Or no? I don't even know. Kind of curious now. AX Combat Jumpstart. Hard points. Multi-cannons, torpedo, gimbal beam, small guardian gauss. No, it doesn't have flak. Oh man. All right. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have flak. It's a flakless build. I mean, I can put this here and like put like some kind of like, this is gonna look better. I don't think I even want the other one that has all the information. Like it's just too much. Like that shifting be up here. And then this and this goes here to basically say, hey, we know there's two builds, but it's a bad idea. Like use them at your own suffering if you really want to. Like, all right, and this realign text to the right. Design to punish harm. Actually, this is like also too many words. It's just punishing swarms. Punishing swarms. Cleaner, it looks like this. This is wave like this. And then we're basically saying these are all terrible. I think we probably could want to put a black stroke on these. It will look a little more polished if we did that. Like layer style stroke. Like a really thin black stroke. Not like that. Perfect. Same here. I'll not copy the thing, I'll just do it. It's so fast. Stroke. There we go. In a sense, the game only gets easier the more you learn and play. So technically, being new is hard mode. And the attrition produces elite pilots who cruise on easy street. Yeah. Titan Space Chieftain. Power type bomber. I call it Titan Space. Titan Space. Cool. And this is the AX Combat Jumpstart. What do you think? This is a good image, I think. The one thing I'm just hang up about is that text about the meta chieftain is not obvious, right? At the center of the thing, right? So kind of like see if I find a way, kind of like create a version of this that like has either a rectangle or something that creates some kind of like way to create some contrast in the back. Well, not this, obviously not. I'll see if I can actually get a bit creative about this. Alright. No, this is centered. Let's actually fill, but fill with a degree of opacity. We'll fix that in a moment. And then create the same blue that I think we're playing with earlier. And then round out the corners, which I think we already rounded out somehow, but it's not very rounded, so I'll actually round them out. There we go, like that. Obviously not this thick, or like this thick. And then we give this an 80% opacity or so. And we move it behind the text of the reference build, but before the image. All right, I think we moved it way too low. There you go. Now this looks more like it, but it does look weird if it's actually centered for some reason. I don't know why. Where did it go? Rectangle 1. All right. See if we move it a little bit further down. This is sort of it, but again, not quite ideal yet. Oops, that's too much selected stuff. Still too much selected stuff. Grr. Okay. Stop selecting more stuff. There we go. No. Oh man. Sometimes I just don't understand how Photoshop works. Like, why does it think that it is a good idea that I'm trying to drag the whole thing? I do not understand. Like, I'm clearly not trying to do that. Oh man. Forget about it for a moment. All right, there we go. Move it up here. Or off center. Trying to like figure out where it doesn't look as weird. I guess someone down here. I'll just keep it in the center. Never mind. This is fine. Less prominent picture, huh? I don't know. I think that kind of prominent picture kind of makes the image to a degree. So, not so sure. I think this is fine. I think the only thing left is to actually add a logo of the Xenostrike Force. Logos now. I don't know that we're kind of like... The thing about the Meta Chieftain, though, is not really a Xenostrike Force thing, as it was a AXI thing before it was a Xenostrike Force thing. So I think it's actually more fair to put an AXI logo on it and maybe put a Xenostrike Force logo next to it, right? And see like how this pairs out. This could be like something along these lines. Something like this. Oops. Try it moving a title up an inch with a center picture down an inch. Yeah, if I move a center picture down an inch because of how I cut it, it's gonna take some real work to fix it. So honestly, I think you're right. It would look better, but it's it would be a bit of a nightmare to kind of like figure out. What I can do though is I can try and center the logos so that like there's AXI and XSF kind of like in vertical, or maybe AXI above and XSF below. But again, I'm feeling like at the point where I'm kind of adding too many things to it, and this starts becoming bloated and not all that great anymore. Like, if I put them next to the crappy ships, it's gonna look awful. If I put them on the side, it feels like Axie's recommending one and XSF is recommending the other. So that doesn't really work either, right? So kind of like putting them one below the other, kind of, it's probably the only thing I can think of from like a very, very tiny both logos in a corner. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the way to go about it. So it's like create tinier versions of this, like which actually scales though. Like somewhere like around this. And similarly small Xenostrike Force logo. Something like this. Yeah, I mean, I still don't necessarily like it all that much. It kind of like, I don't know. I'm just gonna get rid of the logos. I feel they like, it's like for an image like this, they kind of like work against the necessary intent. I was thinking of it as an obvious way to do it, but no. No. This is fine. They and I'm going to export a couple of versions of this because it's actually quite nice. I generally export a PNG for like archival purposes and then a JPEG because the PNG is often too big for YouTube and other online like Discords and the like accepting it at full resolution, which then results in compression and sort of weird out of your control kind of artifact things that just look poor. Tiny watermark or no logos at all. I think it's no logos at all. Like it's probably better this way. I mean, it's not like there's any doubt as to where this image is gonna come from. So it's like, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. And if somebody kind of like recycles it and sends it around, again, people will find us. I'm not too worried about that. In fact, if they even find this image, hopefully with content attached to what's gonna be this image, it's actually gonna sort of like be better than most of the things we could probably find out there. So it's a good thing. This is a result. I think the work from here is to actually create the Etsy links for these things. I think I have many of them, or anyway, that's going to be a quick affair. But I think this is going to be a good starting point. Commanders, thank you for tagging along. Thank you for at the same time keeping me company and engaging with some really great suggestions. I learned so much about Photoshop from your tips and suggestions. Really, I feel I've going to become a better Photoshop designer based on what you shared. So I'm very thankful and appreciative of all the suggestions. I love everything: the hue, rotation, the drop shadows, the getting rid of the weird trash bins. Like, there's so many good suggestions. Like, this has been super, super helpful. Guys, thank you again. Glory to mankind. And with this, we are wrapping up. And glory to mankind. Commander Mechan over and out.